Hello there, this is the Red Pill Diaries. I want to know if I'm becoming hikikomori, a shut-in, or if we're becoming shut-ins, right? So the reason why I'm thinking of this is, obviously the politics all over the world, the stuff that's going on in my country, stuff that's going on everywhere, the lockdown situation around the world, how some people are seeing through it and some people aren't. And how on both sides we have people who, we have people who believe every little rabbit hole that comes along. So it's the nature of excesses, right? Excessive rabbit holes, excessive belief in every conspiracy theory and everything that might come along. And when the world is filled with conspiracy theories, we don't need any more that aren't true. We've got enough that are true to take, the other 90% that aren't. So what I'm seeing is, you're not going to go have a pee, Rumble? Oh, well, whatever. So what I'm seeing is a situation where you have people that will censor themselves, block every piece of information coming in. So they're the early programmed. This is so genius to do this, all this. I'm just thinking what it would take to structure all this to make this happen, what we're seeing in front of our own eyes. And that is to be able to program someone so that, put different layers of programming so that people programmed early would accept their programming and then say, right, from this point forth, everything that comes towards my face, no, block, block, block. They jump onto Twitter to boast about, even on these independence pages in Scotland and in the other ones, the no pages, I remember seeing back in 2014, people, I'm going to block it, blocked, like that's they're boasting or they're virtue signaling about blocking someone. They're also showing their power. Look how powerful I am. I can block someone. Feminists are the same thing. They do this, block. They come on and they act like total fuckwads to other people. They act like misandrists. They act like sexists themselves. And then when they receive their own treatment back from someone who, let's say, truly is a misogynist, right? And then they acts like she does, but in the other way around. What ends up happening is they show their power by showing they can block, like the other person can't block them. So all they're doing is, they don't even see what they're doing is they're denying any other information getting into their brain. Now we're seeing this on both sides in America. Like we're seeing it in the American election where it's clearly both sides cheated, and obviously Harris cheated. President Harris cheated more. The reason I'm saying President Harris is because we know that's what was being ushered in, but it may not be. What might be happening now is how do we create the maximum disruption? Because that's what seems to be going on around the world. Maximum disruption, maximum chaos, maximum twisting to a new normal. And that normal is a hellscape. Because what I see is, as I mentioned the hikikomori before, the Japanese word for a shut-in, someone that just basically stays at home, doesn't go outside, literally doesn't go anywhere. Now, I'm already a bit of a homebody, so it wouldn't be that hard transition to make for me as long as I had everything, I live in a kind of country area, as long as I can go for little walks here and there, but for the most part, I don't really want to go in the city and go around people anymore. I've spent too many years in cities. I don't really like most people. So this could be something that, who knows, maybe I was crafted to be that way. Because I didn't used to mind crowds when I was younger so much. But anyway, let's carry on. So yeah, that's actually, let's not carry on. Let's first face that. Maybe I've been partially programmed as well, and I'd say it's almost positive that I have been because of what I've been exposed to. I'm living in the world. The world is filled with misinformation and covert programming of people through everything from adverts. We already know adverts use psychology. Just for example, for people that say, "Oh, this just sounds conspiracy," adverts use psychology to get through to your mindset so that you buy shit. Why wouldn't politicians that spend billions do the same thing? Well, we already know that they do because the marketing companies that they hire. So to get back to the other real point of this, is that we're all being set up. You get a situation where you have two factions of people on both sides, and I know that that's not dichotomy, because that's effectively, you've got now 4 split outs, because what you have is people on both sides who will accept new information, people on both sides who will not. So the people on both sides that will not accept new information, they're the true catalyst that the system require to create all this fuckery that's going on right now, because they're the ones that create the anxiety. So on both sides, you will have a rational portion of both sides, as well as the apolitical people who are not having any of it. They just know the whole thing's bullshit. They know that we're in an actor-based reality. This includes truthers that are now becoming, as Chalkbody Outline said in the latest video, it's now the new normie, is to be a truther. Because it's so much deeper than what we think. These little rabbit holes that are going on, and the hiding of information by governments from us for years. It's most likely more than that. It's most likely on a very fundamentally an energy level, something that's probably not even physical, metaphysical, whatever. But it's definitely something that nobody can explain, and there's something going on that. All we can do is theorize on it, and then by doing so, you fall into this bracket of being cast as someone who's got a tinfoil hat on. Even though almost every dichotomy of argument today results in cognitive dissonance. People not seeing that by their very accusation that a group of people are conspiracy theorists, that itself is a conspiracy theory, and this is lost on so many people, like for example, I'll go back to the American election thing, that so many people would think, Trump himself, and that so many millions would think the US elections were falsified, but they actually don't believe they are, they're just doing it anyway. That itself is a conspiracy theory. And these go on and on and on, everywhere in the world. So this look at that roaring fire. It's so nice having a fire. That's why I don't mind being a homebody. Got the tree up early. Anyway, not that I it's just for the pagan ritual side of it. I'm just kidding. I like having trees up. Just part of nostalgia. So let me carry on. What I think we're being pushed into is effectively a choice. You get a battle, whether it be on the computer or whether it be on the streets, rioting, or in real wars. Depending on what country you're in, it will come to this, right? I don't think America's going to go full civil war. I just don't see it happening. But I do see it would probably be regionalized, statewide kind of civil wars. I think you could probably have that. But as far as a nationwide one, I just don't think it's possible. Like we already saw during the pandemic, when these parties, when these BLM, a creation of the Democratic National Committee, that basically funded the creation of everything from the marketing, the decision of how to create this divisive hashtag. So instead of being BLMT, like Black Lives Matter 2 or something like that, purposely BLM, so that it would be something that would be inclusive. People who are always, and that's the thing, you've got to look at this right now. The way that the world works is that if you want to, the world's run by narcissists, and what narcissists tend to do is they accuse someone of doing something that they know that they do, so that when they get accused of doing it themselves, they've already beat you to the punch. So you start to look ridiculous. What a child! You're just saying that because look at you. You're such a narcissist. Seriously, you're a narcissist. Oh no, what a child! You're just saying that because I said it. You see what I mean? And that's how it happens, but this is happening on a nationwide scale, and it's happening on a political scale that covers the world. You're getting it in Scotland, you're getting it in all around Europe, you're getting it, with everyone from Lagarde to this bloody what's her name again? I can't remember her name. The German leader, acts to be so. Well, there's an example again. Back to America is an easy one for me. The talking about the treatment of foreigners, and we have video evidence. We have video evidence of Obama saying we can't just let our borders open. If you share that video and you show the information that is even government website that shows what they did at the time when the creation of ICE and the building of the camps, basically the camps to separate people, that they call it. These cages. Rachel Maddow forcing out a tear from that stone wall, black soul of hers. You know what I mean? But she still wasn't able to squeeze one out, so she just had to make noises. That Trump built these cages, and he didn't. Trump only defending himself very late on in that one as well. Because you just can't trust. It's ridiculous. Some of the things that Trump hasn't done are just too insane. The fact that he hasn't, well, I mean, the Epstein case, well, that's probably because maybe he's on that plane quite a lot himself. But you have to say, it's all theater, right? Everyone's being played. And they're being played so that some power structure can be put in place. It's quite obvious. I suppose it's not obvious to really, really, really stupid people. If you're distracted by the political left and right dichotomy as if it's something that's real, then you're probably going to miss a shitload of things in life. If you're distracted by work, and all you think about is your 9 to 5, we see people doing this all the time. They get home and it's like, oh, look, I just want to put my feet up and forget about this thing. That is stage 1 programming, right? Level 1 programming for the masses. Give them something that they need just to keep the lights on and the water pouring in their house, the electricity on, the TV going. That gives them the wind down they require because of this job that's wound them up. Then they won't ask any questions. Well, that's perfect, isn't it? Because that's what a quisling is not meant to do, is ask questions. A serf is meant to go along with whatever the monarchy or the empire, whatever it is, the power structure that's above them, the church, whatever it is for this era. When all a new reset does is bring in a new power structure. At the moment, it looks like that new power structure is a bunch of you can't call them left wingers, but they're being sold as a bunch of left wing, not autocrats. What's it called again? It's called a technocrat, right? So people like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, he's been sold as a more libertarian one. Maybe he is. That's the thing. We can never quite tell what's true. And this is why I do get annoyed with people who dismiss or just say we know for certain. But there's certain things that you can see for certain. We look around us and we can see the world is in a state of perpetual war. Like there's always a war going on. America's always in war, but the world's always at war too. There's always some war going on somewhere. And those wars tend to benefit people. And those people, they can say, yeah, they're Germans or they're English, but they're not really. They're just cunts. They're just cunts that are they're the opposite of the good people who are woke. When I say woke, I'm talking about the real woke. So people who are red pilled or black pilled like myself, right? I'm red pilled. I'm not negative enough. I see black pilled as very defeatist and apathetic. And I don't think it leads us anywhere good. It's just as useless as white pill people, in my opinion, or blue pilled. But anyway, let's talking about pills. What they are is they're people who understand exactly how the world works, or have a fair idea how the world works, like red pill people do, because we just don't have the answers, right? But we have a fair clue on what's going on. We're also good. We don't want to be a prick. We know that you don't have to get a lot in life. You don't have to take it off someone else. You don't have to step on someone's dying corpse just to get high enough to take the fruit off the tree. But that's how these motherfuckers think. They are the opposite of the red pill people. They are, how would you invert that and make it that? I'm just thinking. But yeah, they're the complete opposite of us. They really believe that everything from this world comes from sucking the life force out of others instead of creating themselves, instead of building, instead of thinking of things, they plagiarize. That's Joe Biden right there. Instead of talking the truth, they tell lies. There's Trump right there, and Biden, and Harris, and everyone who's in Hillary Clinton, lying Ted. And remember, I only mention America a lot because I live there, but it's also to look at things, and I know that America is not very micro, but you want to understand the macro scale, you need to look at the micro environment. And the micro environment is America compared to the world. Because everything's so heart on sleeve, out for display in America. it's very easy to see what's going on. Britain has always been very, keep it in the covers. No sex, please. We're British and all this. And meanwhile, in the background, you've got all these sexually debaucherous situations happening in orgies and child enslavement. You know, the cases in all around the country, even in Scotland and Ireland and Wales, but concentrated in England, concentrated in Manchester as well. You see all these situations of these paedophile networks. It's everywhere, and not just that, the Asian paedophile networks as well, from the Pakistanis that live in the UK and Indians too, that were allowed to go on. I mean, they're allowed to go on because the people using them are the local pedos, the ones that, you know, the police force and stuff like that, who've been proven time and time again to protect these paedophile rings. I'm not just talking about paedophiles here. I'm talking about all levels of evil. They're just the prime example. You have financial rapists of the world who get away with everything. Brexit was there for them. It was at least there for their leaders, the people who control the likes of Citibank and Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and every other bank you'll find on London Wall or Wall Street or Chicago or anywhere else, even Tokyo or Hong Kong, whatever. Wherever you are, any big city in the world. I mean, look at Auckland. You can see Dome, the city building. You got, they're all there. They're all present. These are the people who run the world, and I know that sound like people you'll find on BitChute. BitChute's very right wing following because they've got nowhere else to go. They went to BitChute and Minds.com, didn't they? So I mean, of course, you take away people's right to speak, and they'll find somewhere else to speak because. Free speech is a natural thing, a natural compulsion, isn't it? So all these people, where before we would have discourse, what we have nowadays is we've had since the like button got invented. Sorry, the trend feed got invented, which was that was actually happened before and I don't think it was actually just by Facebook either, because we did have a thing that was called. I think it was called train bubbles, where this was before Facebook even, where the words would go bigger depending on what people were searching for. The word would go larger, just based upon how many hits. I'm trying to remember where I saw that again. It might have been on Metacrawler or one of these old search engines. But anyway, this is quite old technology. But once they started to harness that on the social media platforms, and that was Facebook who did that, and the likes of Twitter later on, this basically set the precedent for the programming of people on a mass scale, but to quite uniform levels of programming, and not just dichotomies either, not just left versus right, but infighting where left is, again, America is a prime example of this, neoliberal versus the people they keep on screwing over, which is the progressives. Progressives are built to be cucks. Whether you look at Ocasio-Cortez calling Pelosi Mother Bear, and yet Pelosi fucking her over and going, no, there's no progressives. Only about 5. That's bullshit. There's much more than 5 progressives in the Democrat Party. But Nancy Pelosi is such a fucking narcissistic egomaniac that she will just see it exactly how, like anyone who's extremely privileged, 100 millionaire, or close to a fifth of a billionaire that her and her husband are, corrupt fuckers. She'll see it as people like that always do, like Trump does, the gospel according to Trump. They'll see it however it, because they've been given everything all their lives. They've been when you're a spoiled little shit from day one until day dot, then you're going to become such a spoiled adult that you're no different than you were when you were a spoiled wee shit. And this is the people who are running the world. Some of them get to know what's going on, obviously. And what I think might be going on is like I've said in previous videos about, it might be that hold your horses if you're a flat earther or someone that doesn't believe that the global warming's happening. I don't know either way. I don't know, because I don't know anything. I just know that we're being lied to about everything. But I know we have pollution around us everywhere, and I know that the Arctic tundra is defrosting. And obviously, because I grew up in an area that actually has these bog pits and the methane gas comes off them. We sell oil and gas in Scotland, and that's where I grew up anyway. So I know how it works. You end up getting methane deposits when you get these microbial life that's decaying. So maybe there is going to be some runaway effect. Maybe they already know that we can't do anything about it, and they're standing. They're giving us a last little bit of freedom, but locking us down to do it. I don't know. We have no idea what's going on. But what we do know what's going on is something sinister is happening, and it is global. It's not regionalized. The fact that New Zealand, that you now have to pay $3,100 if you're a Kiwi and you want to leave your own country, because to get back in, you'll have to pay that money, and $950 per subsequent person, or $450 for a child, per child, just to get back in. Imagine what that means for a family going to Australia on a holiday. So what this is really is the same as they have in China. China has capitalism. They have the world's richest billionaires, more billionaires than anyone else in the world. You can't just come and go as you please. Well, some people can if you're rich enough. Well, the same thing's going to be in New Zealand. If you're rich enough, you don't care about paying that $3,000. Don't you see? It's all the same. It's the same thing. Oh no, it's different. I had to argue with a whole bunch of tards who. That's the weird thing. My channel spent a long time being not on. Oh, by the way, always subscribe to my channel on LBRY. It's Red Pill Diaries .4 or Red Pill Diaries will still take you to the right one. I don't know why. It's a bit confusing sometimes, the blockchain aspects of LBRY, and also on BitChute if you prefer the format of BitChute. My channel's synchronized on both of those, or I haven't checked BitChute in a while because it doesn't make much crypto, that one. Crypto's not worth very much, but the LBRY net is, so I use that more. But basically, oh damn it, I forgot what I was saying now. I got on a sidetrack. I'm going to pause it. Stuff it. I'll just carry on. But so what I think is really going on in the US situation is, look, they still haven't decided which way they want to pull the fraud. Because it doesn't matter, because both sides are the fraud. That's the thing that people don't understand. Whether President Trump gives up and makes everyone disappointed, just like Bernie Sanders did, and also what's her name? Anyone who seems like they have some goodness in their heart, they always give up like a cuck and say, I'll take it up the ass. That's what Bernie Sanders did in the case of Hillary Clinton and in the case of Joe Biden, right? He's the guy behind his back, they're going, what a dick, what a geek. And he's like, oh, Joe Biden is my friend. He's a great guy. I think he can be president. No, he's not. And you should know he's not, because you've known him a long time and you know that he's a lying piece of shit who's never done anything that aligns with your policies. So you have to be an insider as well, or you have to be the biggest dweeb that someone's maybe offered a hand of friendship and you got flattered by that. That's the only two scenarios you have for Bernie Sanders. And then you have the Trump situation. Then already during his presidency, he's already let people down. Yeah, he's done things that he was going to do. He's probably done more than any other president in recent history, although the neoliberals would never let you admit that, or they'd never admit that themselves, even with the proof straight in front of their face. The fact that he hasn't started new wars is a big one. But even if you try to get a neoliberal to absorb that fact, they will not. They will try to come up with something like, yeah, but he created war in the streets here. Yeah, war that only exists in democratic cities and states. War that only exists because the federal assistance was turned down. Again, it's all fuckery from every side. They're all in it together. Tucker Carlson, I know I talk about him as if he's a good guy, but he's not. What he represents is the dichotomy within the Fox News network. Fox News betraying Trump all the time. Tucker Carlson pretending he's impartial because he actually delivers truth bombs. Seeming truth bombs from the other side, letting Tulsi Gabbard go on his show. All these things are to reel you in, to make you think that they can be trusted. Same as right now, there's something going on in America and my friend, who's a fairly smart guy, shared it this morning, going, look, this is one of Biden's guys. He wants to share the vaccine all around the world to everyone else before America gets it, right? Now, what it's supposed to tell you, the right winger, is that look at this level of virtue signaling. He wants to actually harm Americans, and what it's meant to tell that right winger, who a few days ago, or even hours ago, or minutes ago, didn't even want the vaccine and said, "Over my dead body," and blah blah blah. Now it tells him, "Don't you take my vaccine away and give it to those Chinese," or whoever it might be, or those Russians. If you're on the left side, you'll believe the Russians are the enemy. Or back in the day, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, Russia were the enemy of the right winger. The Republican followers like, hey, you fucking Russian, you commie. But now that they're not communist anymore, it's kind of hard to swing that one. So now they're just the enemy of the neoliberal class, right? The parasitic class of the neoliberals. So I think you're getting the point here. Even when you delve into every group, you have divisions in that group. I know I talked about the fact that I've got all of my family out of my life now. And that's not because I can't agree with them. It's because they're fundamental traitors. I've never betrayed anyone in my life. But the only people I will block out of my life is not people who are telling me things I don't want to hear. It's people who consistently want to feed you information or misinformation, but they will not, and you'll accept that, like, okay, I'm willing to listen to you if you listen to me. People who you let talk first, and then when it's your turn to talk, they want to shut you down. That's someone I've got no interest in. You've already shown what you're like. When the power's in your hand, because that's what it is, they've given you their seed, they've spunked on your face, and now won't allow you to do the same. They won't allow you to slap their ass, right? That's basically what it's like. So that's one type of person. My brother Paul is that, for example. He wants to constantly push right-wing talking points as if he's discovered some profound rabbit hole that's just for him and his special group of people who can see the truth and no one else can. And then, okay, how about look at this? Doesn't absorb anything. Sending more memes. Meme. Just ridiculous. And people on, the funny thing is, the left have finally started to meme. It used to be a saying in the alt-right, and it still is, the left can't meme. Well, they couldn't, but they suddenly can now. They've got all these little things of Trump getting held up with a little Nazi flag. It's just like, oh, we're supposed to believe he's a Nazi now. We're supposed to believe Hillary Clinton was a Nazi too. They're all psychopaths. They're all crazy. They're all part of a ruling class. And that class might have information that we don't, which is that all of us are going to die or be put into such oppression that they won't have to look at us, the pesky masses. And this is where I'm talking about Tucker Carlson. I'm going to go back to him again. He's from an extremely privileged background. He's been caught talking about the fact that he could go back and just live his quiet little life and blah, blah, blah. He's been talking about the fact that he is, you know what? Please look it up. Look up, fuck, you know what? Maybe I'll find it after this and I'll stick it in the comments section. But basically, he has divulged through his own words, like Joe Biden has in his own words, calling himself a political prostitute many years ago. He is, thanks. He's called himself out in the 80s and 90s for his, well, one is through his plagiarism, but two is through his political prostitution. His own words were, I'm going to prostitute myself out. No, they said I'd have to wait until I was 40. Big laugh from the crowds. Isn't it so funny that Joe's talking about open corruption back in the 80s and 90s, and we can still watch it now, and yet it's fake news. His words about himself are fake news. It's just fucking insane. And as I say, I'm seeing this all over the world from different sides. I mentioned the other day about the independence movement in Scotland. People complain for anyone that posts anything that talks about the election. Even if they're not pro-Trump, they're just saying, hey, it does seem a little bit fishy. What kind of person doesn't want to have an audit, right? Go away with your pro-Trump stuff. You look for that person's name. And you look down at the previous post, and it's a pro-Biden one, and that fuckhead is saying yes to it, and it's all good. So there he is saying that it shouldn't be on an what's this got to do with independence? But yet suddenly, somehow, Biden and Harris congratulating them in the win. That somehow had something to do with independence. It's happening everywhere. New Zealand the other day, if you look back 2 videos ago or maybe 1 video ago, you'll see a couple of Kiwi retards talking, people who are totally blue-pilled morons. One guy, it doesn't matter, who will refuse to respond. Here's that's the thing. That's the how you can spot these idiots is even if they're one level higher than the people who will block all information. No, don't want to see that. No. Easy try. Someone else this morning when I tried to show Kamala Harris on Hello Siri, who's Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris is Who's the president of the United States? Kamala Harris, or sorry, what's the age? How old is the president? Kamala Harris is 50, whatever it is, years old, right? Now, that's not by accident. The same as when Google put up a few years ago that you could do Google searches and get SNP when you ask about the Scottish National Party, are liars, are crooks, are cunts even. And yet they said the reason they removed the ones about the Conservatives, nothing came up with Tories. Tories are great, marvellous, fantastic. They said the reason they removed the negative ones is because there was rude words and blah, blah, blah that obviously they'd searched so many times. But yet it didn't remove the rude words from SNP. And you're meant to think to yourself, that means Google's on their side. No. What it's meant to do, it's meant to, because the people who need to see it will never ever understand it anyway. All it's meant to do is make you go, I'm living in an unfair world and I can't do anything about it. I'm living in an unfair world and they can't see it. Of course they can't see it because they're too busy trying to show you the things that they've learned that you probably won't accept. So people from both sides will block this sort of stuff. Easy try. Dismiss. They dismiss things because they can't face it. And if you can't answer the question, so for example, I ask you a question first. Okay, answer this question. All right, I'll answer your question. Here it is here, blah, blah, blah. Now answer this. Blah, blah. Just like these right-wing conspiracy theorists or left-wing, whatever the fuck you want to say. They give you another talking point instead of answering what you've asked. Even though you've given them, you've been decent enough to answer their question, they won't do the same for you. They'll never do the same. All it is like I was explaining about my brother before. Constant, or my brother Scott, my liberal brother, he's on the total opposite side of the fence. Complete, hey, I don't want to hear this stuff. I don't want to hear this. No, look. Just any neoliberal talking point, that's my brother Scott, right in there, right, believing it. And I haven't seen him for 2 years, but I just know he'll be one of the people like, look, just wear the damn mask. I just know he will, because he already showed me his team in the last 10 years of showing which side he got sucked into, as did Paul, showing which side he got sucked into, because they're both equal morons. But Scott thinks he's better because neoliberals always have self-righteousness on their hand, and the fact is he's a bit of an academic, which a lot of neoliberals are. They go to learn an indoctrination, whether it's from school. They do well in school because they can comply. I did well in school despite the fact that I was always arguing with teachers, always making fun of them, making many of them cry. I don't give a fuck, because they would have done the same to me if they could. And also because they were talking shit. They were talking through the hole in their head, and they couldn't argue to debate. They couldn't debate in a respectful manner about the questions that I had, and wanted to try and make a fool out of me in front of the class. So of course, if I've got the mental power to make a fool out of them and make them cry and then send me to the office to get caned, well, that's what they'll do, So yes, it has been a lifelong thing, this pain in the arse ability I have to argue against people who are irrational. I will never accept it, because to me, logic does matter. Emotions do matter too. Pushing your kid away when they want to have a hug will scar them. But there's a place for emotions and there's a place for logic. And you do not get to feel things about facts. You don't get to think your way out of, into an emotional situation. So, for example, some people constantly thinking about how they feel. Oh, am I feeling this? I'm not really sure how I think. Those people are always depressed. They're always got some drama on. Why? Because they're applying thinking into the realm and domain of feelings, and vice versa. It doesn't go well. So just learn to have control, and not segregate your brain, but learn that there are certain things that don't mix. Oil and water don't mix very well unless you use an emulsifier, but let's not get into that. But basically, we are all being set up to war all the time, every day, every country. We're now getting to a stage where what the neo-feudal system is bringing to us worldwide is a situation that you'll see it in China quite a lot. A Chinese chick said to me that I tried to crack onto back in 2017, I think it was. I was over in Japan, and she basically straight out said to my friend, obviously in Chinese, but not to me, that I don't date outside my race. No, I don't like foreigners. Just straight up. And there's heaps of people in China that are like that. Of course, there's heaps that are not. There's heaps in Japan that are like that. There's heaps that are not. My point is, all over the world, look at the Africans that you get, the kind of Black Panther style Africans you get. They do not want anyone.
this friend of mine, Mia, she actually was a rapist. She actually raped me, but she was my friend. When I say raped me, she jumped on top of me when I was asleep. And so the common thing, the all too common thing in the world that no one speaks about, which is female to male rape, it does exist. It's actually very common. But anyway, she took me to where her dad lives in Inkster. She also took me to where her mum lives in some plush suburb of Detroit, and I think it was near Dearborn somewhere. But anyway, they live in a nice house. They're all lawyers and shit. All that side of the family. The other side is more working class. No, I work my life. I work for the GM center over there, and I still don't have a pension. Just like struggle life, just typical fucking Michigan struggle. And so I seen the two sides of that dichotomy, but it was amazing. She said, "Oh, my daddy hates white people." We got on actually very well, and he said, "Huh, who would have guessed it?" A white person who's not a cunt. And at the same time, I met the other side of the family, and her mum was liked me a lot. Cause I think she thought we were dating or something. Just a friend. I didn't have many friends when I first got to Michigan, And anyway, so I've kind of proven a point here, and how gullible of me. That often you can't have a friendship with someone who's obviously... It's kind of hard to have a male-female friendship. It doesn't happen very often. You've either got to have been with them before and both decided that it wasn't working, or you're literally not attracted one bit, but it's very difficult. So obviously there was an attraction there, and she made a rapist out of herself because of it. And I didn't do anything about it because fuck it, it made a difference. I'm not going to destroy another black person's life because she's a lawyer and she just passed her bar exam, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, let's not get into that. But what I meant to say was her dad was more accepting of me. And the other side of the family, her mother was, she's a pastor, married 5 times. Just the hypocrisy of people is just insane. And her husband, a horrible guy, like a fat little piggy of a man. There he is, the very large plush house. I meet the kid upstairs playing guitar. He's really cool, playing heavy metal guitar, which is kind of strange to see a black kid doing. Other kids, only 12 years old, he's already killed his people, right? The violence, the stuff that goes on in South Chicago and Detroit, you would not believe the stuff that goes on. But the kids go back home into their plush houses, these kind of gangster kids, gang rag kids, blood crips, whatever, and they go back in and the butter wouldn't melt in their mouth, go to church with their mum on a Sunday. It's fucking insane. As I say, continual dichotomies everywhere you can find them. So besides these little 12-year-olds having guns and hidden away in their rich folks' houses, pretending to be gangsters, just the same as what happened with a lot of rappers back in the day who pretend, plastic gangsters. The same thing happening today. The same dichotomy in every scenario. And that suburb in Inkster, I could have walked down the street and probably got blown away because there's a lot of people on that. A lot of people who walk around there who'll be Joe Biden supporters, BLM fascists, who are ready to shoot someone at the drop of a hat, ready to break into someone's house, ready to kill someone because they're a white man. But there's also the opposite, right? So the more and more I see this, the more I think the world has been screwed down to be a bunch of localized. 1 second. Sorry for slubbering. Localized little serfdoms. So all the quislings are in their little pens, being controlled by their masters who are free to roam the earth and have everything that the world can grant them. Come on, stop it, rumble. Everything their heart desires, basically, as was always the way. The only difference now is that people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are going to become trillionaires soon. They've already made up to 20%, some of these billionaires. Probably more, some of them have, but I mean, the ones we know about have made between 10 and 20% during this pandemic. And millionaires are becoming poorer, and so are 100,000-aires, and of course everyone else is becoming scuts, nothing. So it seems obvious that we're either being penned in to be slaughtered or penned in to be controlled. And what can you do about it? Well, you can become the elite. It's like that's the choice you have. Because it might not be slaughtering, it might just be to pen us all in. It might be that, as I said before, it might be that global warming is true and they have unrefutable evidence and both the left and right believe it, even though Trump will tell you he doesn't, because that's just part of the dichotomy spreading, to make you split into a faction again. But he doesn't really believe that. Maybe he knows. Maybe all those other paid scientists, the ones that are paid to prove climate change, the ones that are paid to disprove it, maybe they all know that it is happening and it's just, well, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. So, in the end, what it might just be is controlling us all to lock us down so that we don't create all the pollution. So they can still carry on their lives flying in private jets around the world and burning, exorbitant amount of fuel. And maybe they can get into some massive, ridiculous sea vehicles that are run by huge lithium batteries that are, that are taken from countries like Peru and Bolivia while no one's watching, because everyone's so locked down that even the journalists can't get out to report the stories of the new coups that will be happening under Joe Biden and under the Kamala Harris presidency or the Trump presidency, because that could still happen too. It would still create civil war. It would still play into what they want. Trump's still kind of there on the vaccine kind of thing, so it's not like he's totally against the whole pandemic. It's just that he's acting his part to seed yet more division and splitting. And I don't mean division in the way that libtards say it. It's not Trump dividing the world. It's all these actors in this that control this actor-based reality that are dividing this world and putting it in a situation where we're all effectively penned in like cattle. I'm going to leave it there. We are all human cattle in a big, effective slave market. Just different forms of slavery. Some of the people are suckered more than others. Some people that make less than living wage but are still living in debt. They're worse off than the slaves, because the slaves didn't have debt. They just had, well, even in their indentured servitude didn't really have debt. They just had to work for a certain amount of time before they got their freedom. But some of these people will be slaves for life. And even some of those people will be slaves for life, but still have a nice car and a nice house, and they will die with debts to pass on to their children, depending on what country you live in. Debts can, like Poland, for example, you can pass your debt on. Well, the debt is passed on. You don't escape it. Your father's debt goes to you. Yes, that is the end. I will leave it at that. I'm going to sit down and enjoy these pancakes here in front of the fire, and have a good day locking myself in the house. No, I'm not. I'm going to go out and have a walk with no mask on. I'm going to maybe go for a bicycle ride. I'm maybe even going to drive to the neighbouring village to get something from the shop, because our shop doesn't have very much here. But you're not supposed to. But I am living in a country that's freer than most. So, yeah. Hope it works out for you wherever you are.